through his class, I met some people that had been running a farm and was looking for someone to lease them.
Thanks, Brock. We're back.
Okay, we're back.
I-
We all used.
Yep.
Yeah.
Amy, in a task.
Typical.
Okay, let's keep going here. So on the agenda, we've got, Neil was gonna talk about what is needed for a successful partnership. Neil, you kind of spoke to that already. I'm sorry I got us out of order. Anything else you want to talk about with that, Neil?
No, I think I hit on that through the different points where he brought me into the conversation with the PowerPoint. So I think, unless I'm missing something, Brock, I think we covered it.
I think you covered it. I've heard you speak to that before, and I thought that you pretty much covered it all, so. Great, so now what we want to do is just have a roundtable discussion. So I think let's go around with introductions, and then have any comments. I've been talking a lot today, so I'm done talking, but, Brock Johnson, the outreach coordinator for NRCS in Lincoln. Do you want to go ahead and, we'll go around the table first, and then we'll go online.
So I used to talk about.
Yeah, just tell me who you are.
Yeah. So my name is Ian Richmond, and I presently lease about 10 acres of property at Shadowbrook Farm, which has been around. They've been a vegetable farm since 1997, and they began transitioning into doing a goat dairy about 15 years ago. And so 2019, I began leasing that 10 acres and operating a small scale vegetable farm there. And I usually have, in the middle of the season, about 6 acres under production. And so I sell it to 4 farmers markets, well, 5 farmers markets between Lincoln and Omaha, and then a dozen restaurants between those 2 towns, and open harvest. And then we have, we're kind of one of those situations where during the pandemic, we had a real boom, and we haven't seen the bust as far as our farm trailer or CSA goes. So we went from having about 40 CSA members to now having about 190. So we've really seen some big shifts and changes in the last few years on how we operate our business and how we get food to people. And so, yeah, I'm here because I just was curious as to what this was all about. If, it could help me or other small scale producers that I know. I mean, in doing what I do, I meet a lot of people that are 5 times as big as me and five times smaller than me. So yeah, just kind of interested in what's going on here.
All right, thanks for coming, man.
Nash Leaf, City of Lincoln. I work mostly with biochar, as well as the city's regenerative ag plans and the City of Lincoln Local Food Master Plan. On the weekends, I run Salt Slope Farm, which is an 8-acre farm, 2 miles north of Roca.
Thanks, Terrence. My name is Aaron Hurd. I'm the state soil health specialist. Obviously, I get around the state a little bit. You have some photographs that Brock was willing to share. That was awesome. Thanks, Brock. I am a recovering cut flower farmer, and I grew up on a pretty medium-sized truck garden, 3 to 15 acres, depending. And yeah, I've got a lot of experience in conservation planning and cover crops and soil health management, and I'm really excited to form partnerships and work for the greater good. I think everybody in this room is a real player in this sector, and I think we have a chance to make a difference and invite new customers to the table. Like people that don't believe that they have a reason to participate in this conversation about their conservation ethic and how to manage their land and how we can partner with them to perpetuate their lifestyle and really solve some food problems. So it's a really neat opportunity we have in front of us.
Well said, Aaron. Thank you. Brad?
I'm Brad Sonkson. I'm the assistant for programs in Nebraska NRCS, and I'm responsible for the farm field programs and funding and contracting.
Yeah, I'm Connor Ward. As I stated earlier, I'm the EQIP program manager for NRCS. As the title entails, I manage the EQIP program here throughout the state of Nebraska.
And Connor likes to buy local and eat a lot, right?
I do, yes. I have a vested interest in all this as well.
Very healthy, learned a lot from him. My name is Jamie Taney. I'm the resource conservationist in the Wahoo NRCS field office. And recently have been fulfilling a detail as the small scale farm and urban ag conservationist. And I also have a collateral position as the beginning farmer rancher coordinator. I see Carlos rubbed his eyes. Are you getting bored? Just kidding.
He was crying. He's
I
sad.
know. Well, thank you. Thanks. I too, I love ag and from the traditional ag sense, but I since have, because of personal and family related items and issues, I guess I've come back to the farming. So I wanted to get back to the traditional farming. And so I do have the beginning farmer under my belt, but also found a new love for woody florals and super excited that through that process, the Farm Bill gave opportunity for specialty crop producers. And I have a love for policy. So I love to figure out why we can't do things when things change. So I'm definitely also vested in this whole process.
I already got to introduce myself, but Megan McGuffey with Community Crops, and I would just add, we manage 19 acres of urban ag in and around Lincoln, so farms, gardens, greenhouses.
Megan, did you call your farm or your system an incubator farm? Is that what you called it
Prairie
earlier?
Pines is an incubator farm, so it is really for beginning farmers to kind of start up for 5 years and launch off. And then Air Park was basically acknowledging it is really hard to get land access, so we needed something more long-term for folks. And then, yeah, we have 12 gardens around the city and 2 greenhouses and an urban ag plot, which is a kind of a micro farm.
Awesome. Thank you, Megan.
Albert Trailer with Nebraska Department of Environment and Energy. I work in our non-point source pollution management program. Typically, we work on a watershed scale, mostly with traditional agriculture, but we do have an urban component of that. And I think there are opportunities to maybe influence some of these practices to protect water quality. And I think some of the stuff that you're trying to do would be some alternative uses of that urban land that are less polluting. So we're kind of excited to see how this goes, and we'll do what we can to help.
Great. Thank you. Tatiana?
Yeah, my name's Tatiana Davila. I manage 2 programs here at the Department of Environment and Energy, the Wellhead Protection Program and the Source Water Protection Program. So my background is in water quality specifically. I have a grants program that helps communities look at how to protect their drinking water. And so I'm kind of coming at this from a water quality standpoint and seeing how my programs can support urban ag. We have a lot of opportunities to support things from like irrigation to like rain gardens and things like that in communities that are looking to protect drinking water. And then just from a personal standpoint, I, like Connor, like to eat a lot. I am a weekly CSA member with Broadnet Farms and a member of the co-op. So also this is something that's near and dear to my heart. So it's exciting that the water and food worlds are kind of coming together for me. So excited to be here.
Awesome. Thank you.
Carla McCullough, I do kind of have that water quality bit. I'm a watershed science extension educator now and had previously worked with Albert and Tatiana and water quality here at NDEE. Also just some of my side things are I'm on the board of directors for Open Harvest, currently the board chair. And then I also manage the Wednesday night Hub Farmers Market for 18 weeks of the season. So my worlds are colliding.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming. So Neil, we heard from you already. We're going to work down the list. Neil, you want to introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
I sure can. To kick it off to the virtual folks. So Neil Dominy, I'm the Assistant State Conservationist for Partnerships for Nebraska NRCS. And like Brock mentioned, I'm excited to have the opportunity to help lead and push the small scale and urban emphasis here at NRCS.
Thank you, Neil. Frank, you're up. Are you on with this, Frank?
Yes, absolutely. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Great. Yeah, Frank Ularek, City of Lincoln, Transportation Utilities. Involved quite extensively in our climate action plan, specifically a lot of our natural climate solutions initiatives, including advancing the biochar program with Nash, who's doing a lot of the on the ground work. Also, interestingly enough, it's good to hear about brownfields because that's definitely where my background has been for a number of years. We secured actually an EPA brownfields grant to assist in developing our urban ag master plan. So some of the folks at the table, Tim, Rena, not necessarily at the table, but virtually, Megan McGuffey, Nash Leaf, and others. Ian Richmond is going to be part of a focus group as well. Real excited about advancing that. And again, grateful we got EPA grant funding to initiate the urban ag plan, but glad to be here and in the company of you professionals.
Thanks, Frank. Lindsay, you're up. Are you on with us, Lindsay?
Yes. Hi, my name is Lindsay. I'm in the Omaha office. I am a wetlands biologist. This is my first meeting with you guys, so I'm learning a lot. But I'm interested in this because I do sit in the Omaha office, so I hope to be a resource for people. I do have like some background in maybe not urban farming, but gardening. I was like a head gardener. I got a degree in horticulture, so I feel like I have some interest in this, but I ultimately hope to be a resource in the Omaha office.
Awesome. Thank you, Lindsay. Jacob, you're next. Are you on with us, Jacob?
Yes, I am. Good afternoon, everyone. Jacob Fritton, I direct the agriculture program for the Nature Conservancy here in Nebraska. I guess first off, thanks to all of you at NRCS for putting this effort together. Excited to be part of it. We've been doing ag work in Nebraska for TNC for about a decade now, but it's been primarily just large scale row crop agriculture. We've always kind of had urban ag and smaller scale farming in our sites, but are very green in that regard. So really excited to be here just to learn in general all that's going on and hopefully figure out how we might be able to contribute to the effort. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Jacob. John Porter. John, you're up.
Hi there, I'm John Porter. I am with Nebraska Extension. I'm the urban agriculture educator in the Omaha metro area. I'm also the statewide program leader for all the folks that do horticulture and related things like entomology and water across the state. So I do education and policy work and other things here on the local Omaha level, and then leadership on the statewide level. And one of the more exciting things, and Megan probably knows this too, that we have going on is we've been working with the city of Omaha to write a urban agriculture ordinance, because currently urban agriculture is not strictly legal within the city limits of Omaha. And Megan, as a grad student, worked with us, our team, to write a new urban ag ordinance. And it goes to the Planning Commission on January 4th to hopefully be approved. And then after that, onto City Council for their approval. And the fun thing is once that's approved, there will be an urban farm registry for the city, which we will be able to connect to NRCS and other programs so that we can reach out to urban farmers who fall through the cracks.
Congratulations.
That is great, yeah.
Megan did all the work, and I get to take all the credit now that she's somewhere else.
No, it's a lot of people, but it's taken policy has a pace to it, right? It's been a long time coming for that vote, so.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome news, John.
Yes.
Congratulations. Thanks for attending today. Sonia, are you on you're next with us? If you're on, we can't hear you. Maybe are you muted maybe?
Can you hear me?
Yep, now we can.
Can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. My name is Lasagna Luther, and I am a third generation BIPOC farmer, more of livestock, and I honestly currently live in Iowa, but I work out of and do a lot of work still in Nebraska. I've worked with both Megan and John. I'm the organizational leader of the 4-H group that I've been struggling with for a long time. And so basically, I am an herbalist. I'm currently a working student of taking occupational endorsement certificate in ethnobotany out of University of Alaska. So my focus is environmental work. And I work currently with rabbits and rebuilding soil health and vermicomposting. So I do a lot with the food soil web. Have a very, feel like can bring more of a to the table some of the needs of, well, actually, I won't even go there. I feel like I can speak better for within the BIPOC community in regards to the small scale agriculture that currently is not really effective. The scale isn't effective for most BIPOC. And so really concerned with that. Received a SARE grant back in, I think it was 2019. Had to give back that Megan actually helped with because of policy. There's been creation of, this policy, but, the health, the people that deal with the animals aren't there. And a lot of BIPOC don't even have access to these kind of still larger scale, small scales that you're talking about. More interested or more focused on backyard farming. So that's where I do everything. And so just really learning the ethical aspects through Mother Earth law, more natural farming techniques. And so I've been in this realm for a really long time, local foods and things like that. So I've been around this a long time, and my biggest thing is, I guess, advocating and trying to bring more BIPOC to the table. And they can tell you more of what they need, because kind of what we're engaging in is still not really addressing the needs of the communities and the people of being able to sustain themselves, learn to grow for themselves, gain more knowledge, the farmer training kind of a deal, but just the need of knowing why they need to be doing this. I also come at this from a health standpoint because of nutrient-dense food, micronutrients, as well as macronutrients. I struggle personally with B12 deficiencies, which, if anybody knows what that is a source that comes from meat. There are some in plants, but not the amount to sustain people. And so if you're unable to grow and do for yourself, when crisis comes, then you're dependent on other people. So really, really at this table in a focus of seeing even a more smaller scale of teaching and bringing BIPOC community to the table so that you can really hear the concerns. And it's not about going to food pantries and things, and more cultural diversity and things like that. So anyways, that's me.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that message, Lasagna. Appreciate that. So Tammy, You get a lot of emails this group does from Tammy Norman. Tammy, do you want to introduce yourself? Yes.
I don't know if my mic is working. Can you guys hear me?
I can,
Okay.
yep.
I apologize. So I am Tammy Nordman. I am the administrative assistant for the soils, wetlands, and program staff.
Awesome. Thank you, Tammy.
Yep.
Sam Wortman, you're next.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sam Wortman. I'm an associate professor in agronomy and horticulture at UNL, and have a new partnership with NRCS Nebraska called the Urban Soil Health Initiative that we're excited about. And I do a lot of research and teaching in this area of small scale urban specialty crop production.
Great. Thank you, Sam. Terry James, are you on with us?
Can you guys hear me now?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep, I can
great.
hear you.
So, hi, I'm Terry James. I am also with the Department of Agronomy and Horticulture. I have a full extension appointment within that department. I have two main priority programs that come out of that. It's the Master Gardener program, so I'm the statewide coordinator for that. And then I am one of the content managements for Backyard Farmer. I also sit as an adjunct on the Nebraska Nursery and Landscape Association board.
Awesome. Thank you, Terry. Tim Renna, are you available, Tim?
I am. My name is Tim Renna. I am the co-chair with Megan McGuffey of the Mayor's Community Committee on Local Food, which is along with Frank Alaric and Nash Leaf and Ian Richmond, working to develop a master plan for food localization in Lancaster County. And we have a long ways to go. These are really good people, but I found out just 2 weeks ago that the city of Lincoln needs 1.5 million pounds of food every day to feed its population of 300,000 people. 1.5 million pounds every day. So I'm still marveling over the fact that we are meeting today. This is just so unbelievable. A year ago, I don't think anybody, even in their wildest imagination, thought that this was going to happen. This is so tremendous, having the resources and the fan support of NRCS behind the food localization efforts is just out of this world. I thank you all very, very much.
Thank you, Tim. You called this a powerhouse group on a couple different meetings I've been with you, and you're absolutely correct in that statement. And I'm fully with you on that. So thank you. Carlos, you are next. Oh, you're muted, Carlos. They're not working.
Oh, here we go.
Hey, yeah, there we are.
All right, hey. I was just saying so many nice things about Brock, but unfortunately nobody can hear it anymore. So
let's back up and cover those again.
Yeah, well, you might be lying.
Hey folks, good to be here. My name is Carlos Villarreal. I'm the state soil scientist for Nebraska NRCS. I've been with the agency for going on 15 years now. I moved here about 2 years ago from Texas. When I was in Texas, I was able to work with the city of San Antonio to develop a carbon stock and sequestration inventory. This involved a lot of GIS and soil sampling to identify some important areas or opportunities to improve management to increase carbon sequestration in the city. So that was a really great project to be a part of. When I moved here, I was so excited to hear about this committee getting together so that we can sort of continue that momentum in helping people, you know, all different types of groups, much like myself, to be involved in conservation. I think that's so powerful, and I think it's a really great tool to have. From a soil scientist perspective, or from a state soil scientist perspective, I'd like to see different ways that we can provide resources regarding soils information, meaningful soils information, and being able to help land managers make decisions. So I'm really honored to be a part of this group, and I hope you'll keep me around.
Awesome, thank you, Carlos. I think we've got a couple participants that didn't click the link, they just dialed in with the phone. You scroll up to the top.
Yeah, I just had one from.
Oh, yeah, I've got a phone number. If you're on, you haven't spoken yet, can you introduce yourself? Not hearing anything. You're on mute or you're not able to. No one else? Okay, is there anything in the chat, Connor, that question wise that we need to answer?
Just from Lasagna, and I think she had a chance to speak on behalf of BIPOC there. So other than that,
Okay.
just some general comments.
Good. Okay, so the rest of our time here really just involves the roundtable discussion like we talked about with any kind of topics that you wanted to bring up. And then we'll close out with setting maybe our next meeting and talking about that a little bit. How we want that to happen or when. And then that'll conclude, that'll wrap the meeting up. So I've got a roundtable discussion item I just had come to me. In the room here, we've had a couple of people, and I counted this quite a bit. This notion of getting a farm number and participating and what that means. And so a couple people in the room here with us asked about farm number during the break and had some trouble with their farm service agency getting them a farm number. And so, you know, I would just encourage anybody in the group that are looking into participating with us on that individual level. Sometimes it's a good idea to communicate with your local NRCS office. We have offices in 72 counties in the state of Nebraska. They're a really great connection to engage with initially. Sometimes it's good to start with the NRCS office to have this discussion, and then they can give you some clues as to what it takes to get the farm number. We have a fact sheet in our slideshow today, and we'll make that available to everybody for how to participate with the FSA. But one of the requirements they have is a lease agreement. So, you know, bringing them a lease agreement, making an appointment with the FSA, and you can do it simultaneously with NRCS, that works the best, is a really great way to get started. Bring the two agencies together, have a copy of your lease. That's really all that's required. The fact sheet actually says photo identification, but that's not required. But to have photo ID, you can bring that with you. And the other thing is, if you had some production records, one of the gentlemen here said you've been producing crops for 4 years and sold them at farmers markets. So maybe that's take your Schedule F from 2021 and black out the dollar figures and bring that in. So, but whatever it is, you know, there's barriers to participation all across USDA and different programs and things like that. We want to eliminate those barriers. And we don't know that a barrier exists if we don't know about it. So that's the other thing. So I want to bring that little topic up. And the other thing is you're connected to me. I'm the outreach coordinator. I'm the barrier buster, so to speak. So you always have, you can give my phone number out or email address to anyone at any time. I try to, within 24 to 48 hours, return that call and make that connection. So there's always a lot of options, and we want to do everything we can to listen to you and be able to connect to you and help you. Anybody else have any other, or you want to comment on that, or?
Brock, I was just gonna make a comment to that, and Ian and I just talked briefly, and I think he hit on something that's really important to talk about as far as eligibility. I do think there's been a shift since the 2018 Farm Bill, where I've heard multiple times from producers or small scale farmers that they have a hard time making any headway, and it always seems to come back to USDA or maybe NRCS or FSA, and to their, I guess, not defense, but just to clarify, it was really difficult for small scale producers to get help from USDA prior to the 2018 Farm Bill. And I always go back to that. And that's where I truly kind of dove into policy. And that's when I discovered that, you know, urban ag and beginning farmers were really going to be a focus of the 2018 Farm Bill, which opened up so many doors. So I guess I would encourage, if you did have issues or felt like, you know, you were being turned away. Sometimes our employees only know what's coming down from our, you know, national and to state. And so this urban ag development has really been a pivotal role or a pivotal time in NRCS and USDA's history, I think, to where we're gonna be able to work with a lot of specialty crop growers. So, you know, go back in there, and if like Brock said, he's available, but he made a great comment, connect with that local field office, maybe the NRCS side. We're really promoting urban ag, and we've got our urban ag council of employees. And so that'll be getting out soon. And so we can have those as the point of contact. So within our subcommittee, feel free to reach out to those individuals as well, and we'll be your champions.
Yeah, Megan, Megan got a farm number here a couple, maybe a month ago. Can you tell us how that went? We'll give you some.
Yeah,
Key
yeah.
to helping get that started.
It went pretty smoothly, I think, because of exactly what you're referencing. I knew Brock and Jamie, and they, you know, connected us. So we kind of gave a tour of some of our sites that we were considering for the program, and just because crops is a weird one where we're not the direct farmers, we're really working with farmers on our property. And so we kind of started those relationships, and then it really was just as easy as like walking into the office with our lease agreements. And we started on the NRCS side. We went over scenarios and the micro practices, but really then we just walked across to the FSA office, gave them our documents, and we filled out a really short application. I think we were there for probably maybe an hour total, and most of that was probably just chatting actually about the practices and things, but the paperwork itself was much easier than I thought it was going to be. And we've already gotten our paperwork in the mail saying we're okay to proceed to the next step, and we'll get a contract. So that's
they connect you to your email, then you get the newsletter at all yet or not? The FSA.
I get a lot of USDA emails. I'm not sure when and where I signed up for
One thing
them.
we do, when you get connected to us, if you correspond by email, really great. I mean, if nothing else, it's a great way for us to connect you to disseminate information. So monthly FSA, NRCS, and sometimes rural development puts out a monthly newsletter, and it's just got dates that are coming up for crop certifications or loan opportunities that there might be and things like that. So it's a great learning opportunity and a great way for us to get connected to you. So does anybody else have any topics, round table discussions?
We do have a raised hand in the chat, Sonia.
Well, Sonia, what do you got?
Yeah, this is Lasagna again. So one of the questions that I had in regards to like the application and stuff is, what is it, how easy is it to address being able to do like natural farming, not traditional or conventional type of farming practices? Because that was one of the things that a lot of the BIPOC community was having problems with, even when they were trying to apply for grants and things like that, is that, when they would go in even to the office, that either the members didn't know what they were talking about, or the fact that they wanted to do practices a certain way, but because those practices weren't supported, then it was difficult for them to really get assistance in supporting the practices, the more regenerative, less herbicides, less using certain chemicals, various things like that. That seems to be one of the issues. So I just wondered what does that look like when if people are interested in doing applications and they're wanting to apply for these things, are they going to be penalized for the more natural ways of, regenerating the soil, and not, some of the practices that aren't healthy to the water quality, being able to sink and drain the water, and soak it back in the earth. Whereas like some of the practices like using plastic or black covers, or certain things that kind of prevent those experiences. So I guess that's my question.
So you were kind of touching on a couple things that I heard, and one was as far as like the type of agricultural product you grow. Let's say we don't differentiate at all between what you're growing. If it's an agricultural, for instance, if you wanted to grow cut flowers, that's equally as eligible as growing tomatoes in a high tunnel. Or if it's something, a medicinal plant, that's equally eligible, or a culturally relevant food. So if you want to grow Native American squash and Indian corn, those, the products we don't care about. The practices, you did speak to those. We do have practice standards that we require as bare minimums to achieve the practice. So mulching, you referred to mulching as one. The mulching practice, if we have one for a component, we talked about components under a practice code. We may have one for wood chips or a biomaterial that's readily available, or a fabric or polyethylene type material. So we do have practices that we have to follow certain standards by. But I think the more questions I answer in this regard might raise more questions. So I would encourage you, the big key for you, I think, is to either connect to me and I'll find you the right person to connect to locally. If you've got somebody, a grower in Omaha that has questions, I think it's critically important that we would connect you to our local field office. In that case, it probably would be the Blair office. We've got some really good conservationists there. And I think that would be a great source to connect you to. And because as these questions come up, we have to get them answered for you. Brad or Connor, Aaron, do you guys want to add anything to that? Or Jamie?
Well, I was just gonna say, I think Lasagna brought up a good point of just misunderstanding, maybe the field office not knowing what she was referring to or vice versa. And I really think that that's why we're here. And I'll be honest, I would like Lasagna, if you could explain BIPOC, and then I think you mentioned vermiculture. Vermiculture. Okay, and some of that might be part of that innovative side that we're not quite there. We want to get there, and these are conversations that we need to have. So all these great things you're talking about, we hope to get there. It just might not be that we're able to physically service them through our practices right now. So I'll go back to, if you could explain BIPOC to us. I think maybe I'm the only one, I'm not sure, but I'm just using this as a sponge experience, so.
BIPOC basically is Black, Indigenous people of color. And then I speak a lot in regards to Native American practices, which are very opposite of regular agriculture. There's laws that are like Mother Earth, Mother Rights, the earth laws, basically the rights not only of the earth and of people, but that's of plants, that's of animals, that all aspects of agriculture are the system is being addressed. And so that's basically has to do with more of plants and their relationship with people. The need and an importance of including animal sources in your soil health, because if you're not incorporating the nematodes and all those things and all of those pieces that are needed in the cycle, then you aren't getting what you need. The plants aren't getting what they need. And if you're tilling and you're doing certain things, well, if you understand where the worms are, if you understand where the bees are that are underground and the disruption of the fungi system, and realize what it takes to build that, and that every time we till or we're covering things up, wood chips, that's great. Wood chips are, because those are nature, and leaves and all of those things. These are the things that need to be re-implemented so that the earth and the animals and the things that we need are getting it. Because if the root systems aren't getting the nutrients, like cobalt and all of those things, which are trace minerals, things that have to even do with B12, for example, if the roots aren't absorbing that, then we aren't getting it. And so then when we're eating, you're growing it, but the people aren't getting it. And then if you're depending on everyone else to do it, and we're not teaching the black, I'll just say black, indigenous, which the indigenous, Native Americans know it. They already know it. We don't know it. We've lost that wisdom and insight, and the natural conserve, our woodlands, with medicinal herbs, foraging, learning those practices, understanding botanically how all of these pieces connect, because the problem is our young people are not getting this information. By the time they get to college, or okay, let me even go even further than that. Half of the schools, they don't even teach this anymore. They don't even teach the use of microscopes and looking at these things for themselves. So then when you introduce a black youth to a farmer grant, and you say, I got a grant here for, if you're a third generation, fourth generation, first generation, they don't know what to do with that because they're not exposed to that. They're not being taught this. And then when we have these type of meetings, they don't know what this means. So there really needs to be more education way down lower before you can even get to the practice where you're at, because they don't know.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yep.
I was just gonna mention, Lasagna, I think you just hit every mark on the checklist that maybe we're just talking in different ways, but we are totally on board with everything you're saying. I mean, you talked about the soil health part, the nutrient densities component, naturally grown, and urban food sovereignty, farm to school. I wish Sarah Smith was on today. We'll reconnect again, but you're exactly right. All of these things, I think we're so glad that you're here, because these are great conversations, and I just want you to know we support that completely.
Yeah, we're down to just a few more minutes. Is there any other roundtable discussion items anybody want to mention real quickly? Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So, this is, I don't know how many of these meetings have occurred prior to today. And I don't know how far behind I am, but, I hear a lot of things like buzzwords being thrown around, like applications. You're speaking of people being customers and eligible. And I mean, as a producer, somebody who's selling from the fringe of the city of Lincoln into what I would consider an urban area, and someone who is very close to being involved in urban agriculture, I still don't completely understand what's available here. I don't understand what you're speaking towards customers, or maybe we're still building all of this. So I guess that's just kind of one of my questions. Like, how is this practically being implemented into these urban areas or rural areas where you're speaking?
Well, we talked about traditional customers, and this is a very good point. That's why we're here today, is that, the customers like you, growers, aren't our traditional customers. A legacy beginning farmer is somebody who comes in with mom and dad to the service center, and they're a fourth generation that's been working with us.
So we have 77 field offices, one in almost every county, and we service traditional farmers. And there's a farm service agency, and there's a natural resource conservation service. And so you as an individual might not even know who NRCS is. And really, that's why we're trying to engage. And I think that's what Brock's getting at.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we usually base our operation status by county. So if you have land in Lancaster County, well, we have an office here in Lancaster County with employees like me who can go to your farm and meet you on the farm and start the conversation with what we have to offer.
So the goal of this committee is to come up with very trackable, tangible offers you will be giving to urban or fringe farmers?
Well, yeah, we already have today possibilities to participate with you on a financial and technical assistance level. And so this committee is kind of helping us steer where we're gonna go with this, you know, where, who, how we can engage with you. How, if and how you can participate with us.
So where the rubber meets the road is back with a conservationist coming to look with you at your garden and say, you know, what are some of your management issues? And
So part of the goal of this committee is to get the word out that these federal dollars exist, that there are individual human beings, not just governmental offices that you would contact, that would come out and work with you if you know, are needing to conserve water and operate your, you know, pumpkin farm or
Right on.
what, like whatever it is, right?
for the first time, NRCS can enter into a conversation with a small grower
In the small
and
growth.
apply 100 square feet. of
Beyond just like the EQIP grants where you would be able to get like some dollars reimbursed on a high ton.
Well, it is equipped,
It's
exactly.
That's what we're talking about.
But
But in
expanding.
the past, it was very like these very like
Do you want to go?
concrete tracks, like you could apply for this specific high tunnel, you would be reimbursed those dollars and that was it. So now
No, we
the
have
playing field is a little
practices.
open and
Yeah.
that's kind of some of the original stuff you're talking about.
Yeah, we expanded our practices to the small grower.
This is a steering committee for the state program, that is Nebraska USDA program. And you as a, you know, new to this conversation can really poke holes and say, whoa, this isn't apparent. And hopefully help us do this better.
Yeah.
And we work with our field office employees to work with folks like you. So it's
So it won't be some weird conflict of interest where like I'm a producer that's interested in going after some of these, you know, maybe realistic ways to build my farm, build my business, but also to be a part and say, hey, this is where this might not make sense to, you know, someone like, was it Lasagna? She's saying like, okay, we have these young growers that do not understand how to access land or
Like,
water
like,
rights.
what are you guys doing? Well, you didn't even know really what NRCS did. And that's why.
I mean, I wouldn't say that. I didn't
no,
understand what this.
Yeah. I mean, there
new
are
development.
people out there that don't know our name, and that's a problem. And that's why we're partnering with as many people as possible.
So Ian, this is
Great.
that part of that practice list. So you talked about the high tunnel. We can offer all of these with a high tunnel or without a high tunnel now. And then with the engineering practices, we can offer those. So it's not just the high tunnel fund code, it's the small scale and urban ag. So, and not to go overtime, but
You're not.
you know, we're glad that you're here today too, because these are things that we want you to take this information, ask these questions, take it to fellow growers that you have and get that word out. Let's just start communicating. So it's all about communication.
Great questions. Any other questions before we?
Carla.
Go ahead.
Just gonna kind of maybe add to that a little bit, because I took a picture of a slide I was interested in, because I think you're right, like, in terms of an actionable, like, these lists and applications, and that's part of it too. I think probably the bulk of it up to this point, maybe, but then also, it was maybe Neil's slide, but it also said ways to participate with NRCS. And beyond direct financial and technical assistance with individuals and entities, there's also like potentially grants and agreements and direct partnership agreements. So hopefully the committee is that a kind of a bigger picture thing too about the system.
Yeah, like an example of that is our partnership with City Sprouts, and they had a really nice workshop series that was going on. But they wanted to include soil health. And so we were able to provide an agreement, some funding, and they hired a soil health specialist. And that allowed us to then come to the table with them and engage in their existing workshop series with their existing customers and participants, and just let them know who NRCS was, while providing a huge resource in human capital for their organization. And that's the sort of synergy that can result from you being aware of, you know, the people in your circle.
And so Megan McGuffey and John Porter have written grants to get access to land. So on a smaller scale yet. So that's an opportunity because we're trying to connect the grower to the land. So they work on types of opportunities like that to expand the grower. Great question.
Yeah.
Anything
Hey,
else,
Brock.
Rick? Otherwise we need to get.
Yeah,
Hey, Brock.
Neil, this guy's hand
Hey.
raised. And Tim, I'm not forgetting about you. You did have your hand raised earlier. I don't know.
Hey,
Forward it, it looks
Go
like.
ahead, Tim. I think you might be on mute, Tim.
Yeah, you're muted there, Tim.
How's that? Okay. All right. All I wanted to say is that this is just so wonderful to hear. Even when we're bringing in different points of view that we haven't considered before, we have missed this opportunity. What I have noticed over the work that we've done in the city of Lincoln, though, over the past 10 years, is that nobody really takes local food seriously yet. Okay. And even among our public officials and our business leaders, they don't understand the possibilities of urban agriculture for our local economies. And I know that there was an effort to draw somebody in from the Chamber of Commerce, but I think that the message that you have here on this sheet right here on NRCS and urban agriculture, all right, on why urban farming, that message has not been communicated to our local chambers of commerce. They don't know what a business opportunity this is yet. This is still seen as something, you know, from outer space, some alien life form. And you folks have such a wonderful project underway at this point and so forth that I would encourage you as a cheerleader, all right? I would encourage you to go out and advertise yourself and go meet with these people one-on-one and give them an opportunity to pick your brain, because right now, urban agriculture in particular and local food generally doesn't even register on our radar screens. We're still part of that $1.5 million or 1.5 million pounds of food that has to come in every day, and it comes in from the global food system. So anyway, you have the program now. You're doing the great work and so forth. I think we want a lot of public patting on the back that you guys are doing, all right, for all of the marvelous stuff that you're starting here and where we need to go.
Yeah, Neil, go ahead, and we'll get some of the correspondence in the chat.
Yeah, I was gonna say you might want to check the chat. I guess one quick thing for the group on, you know, the question of what the subcommittee is and what does it do. I guess my perspective would be we have subcommittees for wildlife, water resources, soil health, maybe. I don't remember if that flew or not, Aaron. But anyway, so this is just a chance to put urban up with where we have our other resource concerns in Nebraska in emphasis areas. So wildlife has a whole group that gets together and talks about wildlife issues in Nebraska through the same structure at USDA. So this is a parallel with it, with directly with small scale and urban, which I think it's wonderful because we can find like-minded individuals that are living this, have challenges with this. It can help us shape our practices, help shape challenges we have with implementation. So I hope it's seen as a group that that can help influence what USDA-NRCS moves and does with our program here. So we really are locally led. So we're all pointing, you know, trying to find those that we know are real winners and advocates in this area to help us structure and influence our not only our technical standards, but our implementation strategies to serve the most. So hopefully that's helpful as far as kind of what we do. Now, I'll be honest with you, the next subcommittee meeting, we may have a total different discussion because a partner on this group has something really important that they'd like to discuss with all of us because we've convened these folks, and that's perfectly fine. So I would say it can kind of ebb and flow as we need. USDA always have some things we're looking at, you know, getting feedback on, but we're always willing to take that feedback as well. That's it for me. Sorry, Connor.
And this is fresh out the gate. And so first time opportunities for everybody involved. We've never done this before that successfully. We've done high tunnels, right? And so we know technically how this might go and some of the bottlenecks and hurdles. But our field office employees are going to be the first time interacting with an operation like yours. And our FSA employees, it's going to be the first time that they're going to try and put a farm number on a specialty operation. And so we have to take it slow. And so we're starting this small group and word of mouth only. And our goal is in the next few years that this becomes our regular kind of culture, and that we can do big scale advertising and really help lots and lots of people. Right now we're at 50 applications. I think you said 50, 60 applications, and I think that's a great first year. And then, you know, next year it could double, triple, quadruple. and every year expand. So I guess that's kind of the frame of reference, just so that you know, this is really in its fledgling stages.
Any other questions, comments? Got something in the chat?
Go ahead, Connor.
Yeah, all great discussion. Just wanted to point something out in the chat. There's some talk of, acreage limitations and whatnot. And I just wanted to say, I guess, there is no acreage limitation for this program for each other. Doesn't expand on that.
Well, the Mythbusters fact sheet, we'll get that to everybody in the group. That kind of spells out the eligibility requirements. So, yeah, there is no minimum amount. There's no minimum amount of money to be earned. You don't even actually have to sell your product to be eligible. For your family or community, or, any kind of food sovereignty project or mission, so. Well, with that, there's another one coming in the chat. I think we should set the next meeting date.
Great.
And we're gonna do this quarterly. That puts us at the end of March. Jimmy, we pick a date today, Brad? What's the best way to do that? Pick a date today and if we can. Let's just pick a day today. Jamie, what do you got for the end of March?
So
What, 20th?
end of March, are we looking at a Friday again, or what works best for everybody, Wednesday, or this was kind of, I appreciate it because I apologize because this was kind of a.
Yeah, appreciate
Bro.
everybody making it here on a Wednesday afternoon. Why don't you pick a Tuesday, March?
Today's Friday.
Today's-
I like Fridays.
I lost my.
I do like Fridays.
I lost.
I think everybody's in good.
Let's do Friday.
Is Friday work for you?
Friday, all right with you guys?
We could do Friday morning. We could take the source water.
All right,
committee.
Friday morning. Pick one, Jamie. You got a date?
Let's do March 17th.
Okay, Friday,
Or
March
is that St.
17th.
Patty's Day?
That is-
You too?
It is.
You'll be gone. What about March 24th? Yeah, let's do that one. Okay, let's do that.
Friday, March 24th, 10:00 PM. We'll send.
10
10
p.m.
a.m.
Or 10 a.m., gosh. My mind, you guys blew my
You know
mind
where he
today.
wants to go.
Nice.
You get out of here.
Nice working with you all. This will be my final day here.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
Yeah,
thank you
you-
very much,
so
and, have a great weekend.
Will that be okay?
What'd you say is
Or
what, morning?
is that?
10 a.m.